Now, if you saw the other movies in the Frankenstein series here in American Movie Classics, you probably recognize most of the supporting cast in this one. This was the third Frankenstein movie for Lionel Atwell, who played the mayor this time. His part was cut down considerably when he became involved in a minor scandal, but it wasn't serious enough to keep him out of the House of Frankenstein the following year, or House of Dracula a few years later, for that fact. By the way, he received fourth billing, ahead of Bela Lugosi as the monster. That was Madame Maria Oskenspire, of course, as the gypsy as only she could play it. She originated the character in the first Wolfman movie. You might remember that she and Bela Lugosi played fellow gypsies in that one. Patrick Knowles, who played Dr. Mannering, was also in the Wolfman, but not as the same character. And finally, that was Dwight Fry as Rudy the Tailor. He was featured in both Frankenstein and in the classic Dracula. Now let's take a look at this.
The scariest creatures in Hollywood rise from their graves.
It's alive!
Every Saturday at 3 p.m. on Creepy Classics. Next time, a 3,000-year-old mummy returns from the dead to claim his lost love and will kill anyone who tries to stop him. The legendary Boris Karloff is The Mummy. Saturday at 3 p.m. on AMC's Creepy Classics. Next on AMC, tortured by his conscience, Officer William Holden carries the burden of his captain's murder in Submarine Command. Next on AMC.
Dear Mommy and Daddy, camp is great so far. I've been doing lots of stuff and meeting lots of nice people like Ginger Rogers, boy is she pretty, and Douglas Fairbanks Jr., I think he's sweet on Ginger, and Lucille Ball and Red Skelton are here too. They're real funny. Great vacation if it doesn't rain. Having wonderful time.
Tuesday on American Movie Classics. Set sail on the voyage of a lifetime, filled with magic, romance.
I no longer own this hand nor heart. They are both yours.
Danger.
You stand condemned. You and your Rose of Persia.
And action galore. Co-starring Anthony Quinn and Maureen O'Hara.
Oh, you are Sinbad.
With Douglas Fairbanks Jr. as the swashbuckling adventurer. Sinbad the Sailor. Tuesday on American Movie Classics.
An audience enjoying a Charlie Chaplin silent film 75 years after it was made. The Little Tramp, society's everyman, at once funny and wistful. A character so finely constructed, it's hard to imagine that he only comes to life on screen. That behind the grease paint was also a brilliant writer, director, musician, and businessman named Charles Chaplin. To ensure the quality of his productions, in 1918 he built the Chaplin Studios. A year later, afraid the major studios cared more about business than art, Chaplin, Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, and D.W. Griffith formed United Artists. To keep a sharp eye on his productions, Chaplin lived at the studio in a mansion off Sunset Boulevard. Today, a supermarket has replaced his home, but the studios remain intact as the site of A&M Records. Now, they shoot rock and roll videos here. On this sound stage, Charlie Chaplin directed and starred in his greatest films, City Lights, The Kid, Gold Rush. In 1936, 9 years after the dawn of talking pictures, he produced his last silent film, Modern Times. It would also mark the last performance by perhaps the greatest character in film history, the Little Tramp. While there are many funny moments pitting man against machine, Modern Times remains a bittersweet tale of lost human values in an overly mechanized world. It may have been the last screen appearance by the Little Tramp, but it would be the first for a 9-year-old banana-eating girl. She happened to be the daughter to Chaplin's assistant director, Carter DeHaven. Her name was Gloria.
And it's silent, of course. So, I mean, all you do are big takes. Like, Mr. Chaplin would say, okay, now, be very frightened, and you do this, and then he'd say, here they come, and you go, oh, you know, I mean, this was all big, exaggerated things like, oh, no, you know, all of these things went on.
From a little girl's point of view, this was one clown who could do it all.
He did everything. You know, he was just extremely brilliant, but never out of his little costume. He did all of it because he was in every scene. So as he was directing, and it was, you know, I mean, on the set, I never saw him in anything but the little tramp. So he was that little man to me.
That little man until the Saturday Charles Chaplin invited little Gloria and her father over for brunch.
I was elated. I thought it was going to be fun playing with all his little friends that must look very similar to him, you know. All wonderful clowns would be there or whatever. And this dashing, I mean, right now, be still my heart. You know, I mean, when I think of what he looked like, he was gorgeous.
He may have been gorgeous, but he was also an accomplished sportsman, here playing tennis with two professionals and comedian Groucho Marx. After the tennis, Gloria saw more sides to this man of many talents.
And then would come in and play the piano for us, just incredibly, and then tell stories that were just awesome. Whether he was making them up as he went along, I'll never know, because there were a few other children, young people there. But he would tell stories, and then all of a sudden he would do magic. Or he would, I mean, he was just, it was an endless day of joy, you know, going to his home.
Gloria DeHaven did grow up, enjoying a nice film career herself. For someone who started in silent pictures, she looks pretty good. Today, in retrospect, Gloria DeHaven wishes she could have been a little older when she worked for that first director who wore the funny outfit.
And I really think I had a 9-year-old kind of a crush, now that I think about it. Because I know I was having little palpitations that were awfully strange for a 9-year-old. You know, I thought, God, he's just everything. You know, he's Mr. Wonderful. He really was.
For AMC in Hollywood, I'm Peter Jones.
Wait till she gets to look at me. It's going to be funny when she finds out her mother is Apple Annie.
Frank Capra's Lady for a Day, March 17th, 3 p.m. on AMC.
Has anyone ever told you you're very beautiful?
No, and I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are, to an artist.
Maureen O'Hara sacrifices everything for artist Dana Andrews in The Forbidden Street, Sunday, March 17th on AMC. He's dashing. He's debonair. He's dead.
To be exact, I died at 9:36 in the evening.
But he's been a real devil.
I think your behavior's outrageous. It's mad. Henry, you haven't broken into the Waldorf again.
And at the table with me was a very handsome young woman, but believe me, there was nothing to it.
Will he climb the stairway to heaven or go straight to... Find out when Don Amici teams up with the irresistible Gene Tierney in Heaven Can Wait, Sunday on American Movie Classics.
Who is that man?
Well, that's a new client of mine. Writer. Just written his first play. Great stuff in it, too.
I'm sorry, but the part has been cast. Miss Beatrice Page is playing the daughter.
Oh, no. No.
Pat Crowley and Ginger Rogers fight for the lead part and lead man William Holden.
No hits, no runs, one error.
Forever Female, Monday, March 18th on AMC.
In what movie did Katharine Hepburn brave crocodile-infested waters? How many movies did Cary Grant make with Alfred Hitchcock? What was Fred Astaire's nickname to Ginger Rogers? You know, in past months, I've answered questions just like these in my exclusive column in the pages of American Movie Classics magazine. Every issue of the magazine takes readers behind the scenes of classic Hollywood with beautiful photographs of your favorite stars and revealing stories about the classic movies that we all remember and love so well. Every month, you'll read profiles of the stars and share in the memories of the people who were behind as well as in front of the cameras. American Movie Classics magazine also brings you a detailed, easy-to-read schedule of all the great movies, plus our own AMC original programming.
To order the magazine of classic Hollywood and save 50% off the cover price, send a check or money order for $11.95 to American Movie Classics magazine, Post Office Box 2065, Marion, Ohio 43305. Or use your Visa or MasterCard by calling 1-800-535-7700. That's American Movie Classics magazine, P.O. Box 2065, Marion, Ohio 43305. Or call 1-800-535-7700.
Now, let me give you the answers to those questions I just asked. Maybe you already guessed that Katharine Hepburn entered crocodile-infested waters during the filming of African Queen. That one was kind of easy. During his career, Cary Grant made 4 movies with Alfred Hitchcock, including one of his own personal favorites, North by Northwest. Finally, one day, during the filming of Top Hat, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers were filming a scene in which Ginger was wearing a gown covered with feathers. And when they started to dance, the gown began to shed. And Fred said it was like dancing in a snowstorm. From that day on, he called Ginger Rogers Feathers. The magic of the movies, the legends of Hollywood, are all covered every month in the magazine of classic Hollywood, American Movie Classics magazine.
When I first hired you, I didn't understand you. But now that I'm beginning to understand you, I'm afraid nobody will understand me.
Oh, Mr. Burton, now promise me you won't tell that to any other stenographer.
The Big Broadcast, Wednesday, March 27th at 1:30 and 5:30 on AMC.
I want you should change my face.
First, you must do something for me.
Like what?
Torture and murder.
2 masters of horror team up for this haunting tale of terror.
This will be sweet.
Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi star in Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. Premieres March 30th on AMC.
Cable is America's choice, and April is National Cable Month. TV you've got to see.
AMC kicks off the celebration with marvelous Marlene Dietrich in a triple feature. First,
just see what the boys in the back room will have.
Dietrich stars with Jimmy Stewart as a boisterous dance hall girl and an easygoing sheriff in the rough and tough Western satire, Destry Rides Again. Then,
there's no limit here. Anything you can win, you can collect.
She's the gal that drives the guys wild in The Spoilers, co-starring Randolph Scott and John Wayne.
I imagine that dress is supposed to have a chilling effect. Well, if it is, it isn't working. Because you'd look good to me, baby, in a burlap bag.
Finally, sparks fly when Dietrich lights up the screen as the Flame of New Orleans.
There's more to being a gentleman than wearing tight pants. Stay a sailor. Sailor.
It's a case of now you see him, now you don't in April, when Claude Rains stars as a mad scientist in the adaptation of the H.G. Wells horror classic, The Invisible Man.
I've had a serious accident. It's disfigured me. Affected my eyes.
And The Invisible Man returns when Vincent Price stars in the sequel. Also, AMC does a double take with legendary actor Cesar Romero. First, Romero stars as a modern-day Robin Hood pitted against a rival gangster in Tall, Dark, and Handsome.
Was there any message to deliver first, or are you just going to let me have it from behind?
Then, Romero reverses roles and plays the mobster to Paul Douglas's reformed racketeer in the remake Love That Brute.
Were you going to hand it to me first-hand and friendly-like? Or were you going to let me have it through the window?
So be a part of AMC's celebration.
April is National Cable Month. TV you've got to see.
When he was making Submarine Command, William Holden found a kindred spirit in a fellow cast member, Don Taylor by name, and the men found ways to amuse themselves between actual time spent on camera. Once they wandered on the next soundstage, where Holden's buddy Ronald Reagan was working on the infamous Bedtime for Bonzo movie. Well, they were still in costume, wearing their naval uniforms, and the director, Freddie D. Cordova, recruited them for a crowd scene. And for their appearance in Bedtime for Bonzo, by the way, Holden and Taylor received the same pay as all the other extras in the scene. On another occasion, listen to this, Holden and Taylor were supposed to sit by and wait for their stunt doubles to dive off a ship and swim over to the submarine. Well, unknown to the director, John Farrow, they decided it'd be a lot more fun if they did the stunt themselves. So when you see the scene, you will understand the horror that John Farrow felt when he found out that those men leaping into the water were his irreplaceable stars. Let's watch William Holden and Don Taylor in Submarine Command.